Yes, everybody. Big news. The debrief is back. I am also sat down. So, yeah, big update on that one. That's about the most entertaining thing we can talk about this week, the fact that I've decided to sit down on a stream. But I hope you're all doing fantastically well. Of course, we have 2 other videos out today. If you want to check out the Patreon account, there is a Villa tactical breakdown. And we spoke about Christian Pulisic earlier on after numerous articles have been linking him with Leeds United. Would you want Christian Pulisic? Don't know. Go check the video out earlier today and you can see everybody's thoughts in there and mine, of course. But let's get my 2 favourite people in. I've missed them both, massively so. When we've not been talking about Leeds, it gets a bit boring, everyone. I'll be honest with you. It gets a bit boring just talking to a camera. You know, you guys are there, which is fantastic. The interaction, engagement's unbelievable. But I do get bored. I do get bored not having people to talk to. Not, you know, people who are not there to tell me that I'm talking absolute rubbish. So without any further ado, KG, Brownie, how are we doing, fellas? All good?
All good, my end. Good. Yeah. Like we were saying off air, it's like the start of a new season. It's been that long. It's I think everybody just got bored of the internationals now, and it wasn't even just internationals, was it? We've had all sorts, but I think everybody's looking forward to Sunday now.
Yeah, KG. I mean, how's the break been, mate?
Yeah, it's been fine. It's been fine. I mean. I think you've seen over the past few weeks, I think people have been scrambling around for content. Been disappointed with a few of my favourites, you know, I've got to be honest. They've rinsed the Harry Maguire subject to like there's no more water left in the rag. But listen, we're back now. So let's go, man. Let's go.
I'm going to make a note. No Harry Maguire talk.
Oh, please, we can talk about Harry Maguire, can't we? Or we're not allowed. So just get into a few of your comments. Brett's found a chair and a skip, Connor. Yeah, I guess you could put it that way. I've been stood up for the streams, lad. I've got a bad back, so I'm going through pain for this one. Evening all, says Blinky. The bye, I think Philip meant to say the boys there. Evening, lads. Missed you. R.I.P. Liz, but time to get back to normal. 3 Musketeers, says Andy. Yes, KG and Brownie, the 3 amigos return. Right, lads, I don't have a plan. I don't really know where to start, to be honest. But obviously, it's been a while since obviously Leeds United have played. I think we've spoken about the Brentford game off air. I don't think there's much to discuss really with regards to it. I think I just want to touch on this in terms of Aston Villa, how essential it is that Leeds United get back on the horse, KG. You know, we started the season exceptionally well, 7 points out of 9. But 1 point in 9, Leeds need to get back to winning ways, don't they, mate?
Yeah, I think that was the most disappointing thing about the Forest game being postponed. I wasn't too mad about the Man United one being postponed. I got to be honest. I said it on my channel. I was okay with that one being called off. But I think that one against Forest was a good chance to get 3 points at home. And I still think we would have beaten them. But now this is another winnable game. It's another one where we're one of those teams like Villa who think that we should be both taking 3 points from the game. It's a perfect opportunity. And listen, Jesse's been working with the squad a lot more. I mean, Robin Koch didn't go away with Germany. Quite a few of them didn't go away, actually, when you think about it. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And I'm looking forward to seeing some of the new guys getting some more time as well. Been really impressed with a few of our newer players over the international break. I know it doesn't count for much, but they kind of give me the new Premier League player kind of vibes. And I hope that we get to see him soon. And more Sinisterra as well.
We'll touch on him in a bit.
I think you're right, Con. It was a great start. And I think the next run of games is massive for us. It really is. I think we've got Villa Palace next. We've got Leicester coming up as well, who are in a bit of trouble themselves. So I think I don't want to say stop the rot, but like you say, it's 1 point from 9. So I think
I guess it is. I guess it is in a way, though, isn't it?
It kind of feels that way, because then after Villa Palace, we've got Arsenal, who are absolutely flying. So it's a big game. Sunday's huge. It really is. I saw somewhere online today, I can't remember who said it, and I was thinking the same. I think Villa and Palace were probably our worst displays under Marsh at the back end of last year. So it'd be nice to see what we do against them too this season. Not been overly impressed with Villa, not been overly impressed with Palace. But I'm sure if you've asked a Villa and Palace fan, they'd probably say the same about us. Not really been overly impressed with us. Our results have been pretty mixed. So they're definitely 2 games that are there to go and win. I think I don't want to call it season defining, but if we don't win one of the next 2, then then you're quickly looking over your shoulders because the teams in the league already. Look at Fulham; they've picked up the same amount of points as us. They're around the same as us. We've gone from being in that third, fourth position to we've not playing for 2 weeks. Quickly looking over our shoulder a little bit.
I think it's only worse because of the 3 teams that we dropped the points against. I think because it was Brighton, Everton, and Brentford, and we only got 1 point out the 9. I think that's why it looks worse than probably what it is. I think we're around where we should be with the squad that we've got currently.
Yeah, and I think Connor's right. I think in fact, UKG playing Forest at home on that Monday night, they're in absolute disarray. They signed about 235 players. And it just screams that none of them were Steve Cooper's players that he signed. He's not really played many of them that have come in. He's still picking the same players from last year majority. So I think playing them would have been a really good time to play them. And then you sat on 11 points and you're in around 6th place. So the Premier League's so tight at the minute. I think I saw earlier between 7th and 17th, there's like 4 points. So 1-2 wins, it can go either way. So yeah.
Are you starting with this already? I remember this last season. We'd be like 17th and we'd be in trouble, and you'd be saying we're about 5 points off 11th.
No, I'm just saying you don't normally get a Premier League that's so congested. Like you normally have your top 3 or 4 running away with it, your bottom 5 or away. But I think teams are beating each other, and it's so congested together that a couple of results and you're laughing. But then again, like we've seen, a run of 3 games without a win, and then you're looking the other way. So I think it's going to be topsy-turvy. But yeah, the period between now and the World Cup it is massive.
9 games, isn't it? I mean, fixtures, fixture-wise, Cage, I mean, we spoke at the start of the season about Leeds having a real opportunity here to pick up points. And I think to an extent, we're all sort of okay with what's happened. It's sort of mediocre. You know, there's been some highs. There's definitely been some lows. Obviously, probably, you know, the last game was probably the lowest low. In terms of the fixtures coming up, mate, when you look at the next 9, once again, before the World Cup, I should say, once again, Leeds, it's not a bad run of fixtures, really.
No.
You know, you sort of take, I mean, who are you taking out there? I think we've got Spurs still, Arsenal, and Liverpool
away. Yeah.
So, but when you're looking at the Premier League, I do look at, you know, the other 6 games and think they're winnable. So Leeds have got to take encouragement from that, surely.
Yeah, and also with that as well, with the bigger teams, I mean, they haven't been the best either. So I wouldn't look at those as a foregone conclusion that we're going to lose. I mean, it's highly likely we will lose because of the way that we are. But it's not said and done that we are going to lose those games. I mean, I think everyone thought we was going to get, you know, beaten by Chelsea, and we took care of them. So yeah, it is just a good time now that we can try and pick up some points and not have to worry about looking over our shoulder, and hopefully go on a cup run as well. Because I've got to think that Jesse Marsh and a few of the other players who have been renowned winners in their previous teams will want to go for a cup as well. So yeah, it's important that we just get back on track in the league.
I think I've just seen a comment there. I think it's really interesting as well. The promoted teams last year.
I was literally about to flash that up. Yeah, I'll get it up actually now, so Cage, you can see it as well. Brendan with a really good comment, so if I can get it up.
It is,
Brendan T says, it worries me a little how close the league is. All promoted teams are a lot stronger this year, and it does almost feel like that. I mean, Fulham, listen, we know there's going to be a point where maybe they'll tear off, but you know, with the likes of Paulinho in there, he looks absolutely exceptional. I don't know what's going to happen. Dan James, yeah. I don't know what's going to happen with Forest. I've no idea what's going to Forest for me could go either way, really.
No, I think there's only one way they're going. There's too many players.
So maybe Brownie, when you look at it, maybe it's a little bit, maybe it's smokescreen, really. Maybe, you know, you're looking at Forest already in the bottom 3. Bournemouth, can you really see them keeping any or gaining any momentum? Probably not. So really, when you look at it, are the promoted teams stronger? Yes, there's one in Fulham who maybe look a little bit more well equipped this season, but that could still veer off, couldn't it?
I don't know. I think last year Norwich and Watford, I think at the start of the season, I think we all pretty much agreed that there was pointless them playing their 38 games really, because they were going to go straight back down. Whereas this year, I don't think I could call all 3 teams. I don't even think I could give you 2 that were definitely nailed on to go down, which makes Brendan's point quite pivotal, that it is a bit of a stronger league, and you can see that with how congested the points are. People are beating everybody. Who would have thought Bournemouth would have gone up to St James's and they were leading at one point? So But on the flip side, it does mean everybody can beat everybody and makes it a little bit more competitive. But which again comes back to the Villa game. We've done well at home this season. I don't think have we been beat at home this season yet?
No.
I don't think we have. So we need to keep that going. We need to keep Ellen Road being a bit of a fortress. Win at home, pick up a point away, and we'll be absolutely fine.
KG, the promoted teams, what are your thoughts, mate?
Yeah, I mean, listen, Bournemouth for me, I think they're still going to go down. I'm not worried about Bournemouth and Fulham. Yeah, they've done a bit better, but I still think they'll dip back in. But they've recruited a bit better this time round. I think they've learned from their mistake 2 years ago. I mean, listen, you only have to look at their upgrading goal from signing Bernd Leno. I mean, they got him for 4 million, by the way, which is a steal for that kind of quality. And Rich looks like he's a bit hungrier. I don't know if he's going to keep it up all season, but he's doing well. But that Paulinho, what you mentioned, hey. That's what you do. That's how you stay up when you sign gems like that. And again, proof that you don't have to spend 20 million on every player.
Was he as well 2.5 million? What a steal! What a steal!
Yeah,
unbelievable bit of business to be fair. And it's interesting what you say, KJ. I don't know what that is with footballers because I believe, if I'm not mistaken, and you will correct me, I believe Naskins Cabano is obviously playing a little bit more regularly as well. He's never really made that transition from the Championship to the Premier League. Mitrovic looks a different player this season, doesn't he, in the Premier League? What's that all about, do you think? Do you think it's just better players in and around him? A new manager, I guess?
Yeah, who's their manager again? Fulham.
It's Marco Silva, isn't it?
Marco Silva, yeah, of course, yeah. And I think with Mitrovic as well, what's helping him is that he's being played up front. Scott Parker didn't really fancy him for whatever reason. And when he did play him, he didn't really play him in his position. But still, he still had seasons before where he wouldn't hit the heights that he did in the Champ. But maybe he's just living off that confidence from the Champ and brought it up to the Prem. I mean, you've got to see if he can do it all season long. And by all season, I don't mean score 30 goals, but I'm saying just keep up a decent tally. Maybe he'll do it, but he's going to be pivotal to what Fulham are doing for sure.
But linking back to our game on Sunday, the Villa game, I don't know if any of you or anybody in the comments watched their last game against Southampton, but dearie me, it was horrendous. It was a shocking game of football. Yeah. Felt like ringing Sky and asking for some money back. But it was pretty bad. So them coming to Ellen Road, do they scare me? Not really. I'm expecting to pick up 3 points on Sunday. I really am.
Yeah. Let's get into a couple of comments. Villa have got a few injuries. I think, we'll get into that, Philip, a little bit further down the line, mate. Michael Pollard says, Forest, they won't have to dip in January window. If it's not going their way, they have more than enough players to change it. Good strategy. It's interesting, Michael. It's a good question because they've they've literally covered every single basis, haven't they? But it is integrating. Can you integrate that, man? And we spoke about it on the debrief at the start. I mean, it was debatable, wasn't it, really? Because, they still brought in quality, Dean Henderson, Lingard, amongst others. They did bring in quality for a newly promoted team. But can you integrate, even if you've got quality, all those players? What was it, 21 they brought in? I mean, I've never seen anything quite like that. So 21 players, can you integrate that within a squad? That's, I guess, the proof will be in the pudding at the end of the season. Ali Al Smith says, Chelsea's a lucky game. They were overconfident and they missed so many chances. If Sterling scored that early chance, it would be a different result. I guess, Ali, you can say that about any football game, though, can't you, mate? I mean, if Bamford scores against Brentford, it could have been a different game if,
Well, just touching on Forest, I mean, they've got a massive game themselves at the weekend. They play Leicester. I mean, I think the loser could get sacked, to be honest. It's that important for them. But, I mean, when you think of all the players they've brought in, they're still playing Johnson, Yates, Cook, McKenna. They've not really played any of...
Worrell as well.
Yeah, Worrell as well. So over half the team is still... I don't really... Well, I mean, I don't understand it. I don't understand why you'd sign all them players and yet still play your championship players. That's a problem for them. Got to focus on ourselves and take care of our own business. But echoing what Katie said, I think it was disappointing not to be able to play them on that Monday night. Because then I think our whole demeanour is completely different to where we are in the table. We're probably thinking about Europe again. It's just crazy, isn't it? It's crazy. The table is crazy, isn't it?
No response needed.
You not fancy Europe, Connor?
I'd love Europe, mate. Yeah, I really would. Yeah, I would. Mark Atkinson says, no team has been outstanding yet, have they? The league is still set. Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think it's a really good comment. I think the league is settling down. I think there's been been one outstanding team, one outstanding player in I mean, just can we touch on Erling Haaland a little bit? Is that all right? Because I just feel like he's just.
I mean, I'm really glad we signed Bamford instead. To be honest, I'm really glad that we chose to sign Bamford and not dip in and take Erling Haaland. I think that was.
I mean, I think it was on the Athletic where they said Malmo were saying to Leeds that you can have him, and I think he was like 16 or nearly 17 for 4 million, and Leeds obviously turned it down. Which, to be fair, at the time that had been a lot of money for Leeds. I think I mean, there's a lot of new fans here, a lot of new fans. But trust me, when we spent 1 million on Luke Murphy, that was party time. That was party time being a Leeds United fan back then. So, KG obviously he's a Leeds-born lad, so we're gonna filter him into this show. What have you made of Erling Haaland so far, mate?
Yeah, and you even going a bit further forward, when was it Chilino had to spend 3 million out of his own pocket to get Chris Wood? That's the kind of stuff that's the kind of stuff we were dealing with. So we had no chance. But yeah, listen, Connor, I'm surprised you like Haaland. He doesn't touch the ball a lot, doesn't press, but he scores goals. So I'm surprised you like him.
Could improve his game.
He's quite ridiculous, though, isn't it? I mean,
he's just lethal, man. And this is what it is. He's just got that natural born gift that you can train players as much as you want, but he's got that killer instinct, and he's done it everywhere he's gone. And even internationally, he's doing it. So it wouldn't surprise me if he breaks the record, considering if he stays fit. And yeah, listen, Haaland, it doesn't matter who he's against. He's going to have a whole, month off when he comes to play us on Boxing Day. So yeah, it might be a long night, man.
I did think that, when someone just put Haaland versus Cooper, I just thought, but it's Haaland versus anyone. It could be Haaland at the minute versus, Van Dijk, or whoever it can be. But I mean, he's having a shocker, isn't he, so far? But Brownie, any further things to say on the Leeds-born lad?
He scored 11 goals in 7 games. It's ridiculous.
Is it 14 in all comps? I think 14 in all comps.
That's just the league. 11 in 7. I mean, I don't know how you stop it. Like, how do you stop that? Like, this isn't just something he's doing now. He did it at Dortmund. He scored like 59 in 59 at Dortmund over one spell. It's nothing new. So he's done it in the Bundesliga. And the scary thing is, he's only 22.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't want to make this a City podcast, but I think the overriding thing is as well. You've got KDB, you've got Gundo, you've got Bernardo Silva, you've got all these lads around him supplying him. So he's going to get 50 goals, isn't he?
I read that it took Shearer 16 seasons to make the 260 Premier League goals of the record. 16 seasons. If Haaland carries on at this ratio, he'll do it in 4. 4 seasons, he'll do it in.
Yeah, some people think he's going to leave the Prem, but I think he's going to leave Man City and come to Leeds in 2032. So I'll take it.
Bit like Ian Rush. We'll get him when he's like Ian Rush. We'll get the Ian Rush version.
Would we still have take James Milner in about 10 years' time as well? Probably would. Depends on where we are, but a 45-year-old James Milner. But yeah, interesting. Anyway, getting back to it, lads. A key topic which has been going on the mill really with Leeds United fans across the Twitter sphere in particular, the basin of logic. Starting 11, we're looking at for Aston Villa. When you're looking at the defensive side of Leeds United now, there's been a lot of chat about Luke Ayling. Obviously, he came on for 25 minutes against Brentford, probably did more in that 25 than Rasmus maybe has done all season. I saw on Twitter, actually, at one point. Then, obviously, you've got the argument of Liam Cooper. Do you keep Diego Llorente in there? Do you move Pascal to centre-back and bring Junior Firpo in? KJ, I'll come to you first, mate. Obviously, Ilan Meslier in net, but you're back 4 against Aston Villa. What are you doing with that, mate?
I mean, we'll know more tomorrow, won't we? After the press. Oh no, it'll be Friday because we play Sunday.
Sunday,
yeah. For me, if Firpo's fit, let's bring him back in. I mean, if he's fit, he's got to start sometime. And when better than a home game against Villa? You know what I mean? So let's go with him. Strauch, Koch at the back, and stick with Kristensen. Let's stick with them and go see what we can get out of that.
So for everybody in the comment section who's going to turn around to you and say, KG, did you not see when Luke Ayling came on against Brentford and he got an assist, and you've got to say to him, he was very decent in that 25-minute cameo. What would your rebuttal be for that, mate?
No, yeah, he was. I mean, look, it was a good cameo, but we're talking about starting the game. We're talking about coming on. You're setting the tone from the start, and for me, I just feel that we need to stick with Kristensen. And listen, I've been very critical of him on my channel, but much like with Firpo when he first come in, I still think you just need to give him time and see what he can do. Yet again, internationally, apparently he played really well. Let's just hope he brings that over back to Leeds United, because that's the Rasmus that I've seen. All those highlights I saw for Denmark is what I saw previously, but we're not seeing him at Leeds for whatever reason. So let's give him more chances to start, because for me, there's just no point going back to that again when unless it's critical, unless Rasmus has a few more absolute howlers, then let's just stick with him and see how he gets on.
For me, I think I've got to be fair, and I agree with KG with the 20. I've said it a lot about Gelhardt, about it's different coming on in a game than it is starting a game, and I think I've got to be fair, coming on it right, but completely different.
That's why Click's back in favour, I think, as well.
Yeah, the game's more stretched. When you're playing in the first half, you've got to win the battle first before you stamp your authority, and the game's just more stretched, more open, more space, tired legs when you're coming on for 20-25 minutes. So yeah, I mean, if he comes back from international duty fit, then I think he plays.
And it's funny, I was doing a little bit of on the Patreon earlier on just about the last Villa game, and we're going to get into the last Villa game as well, not just the pre-season, but one of Marsh's first games. It's funny how memories are maybe just changed a little bit when it comes to Luke Ayling. I mean, he wasn't having the best of times of it under Marcelo Bielsa. He wasn't having the best times of it under Jesse Marsch as well. And I understand that people are going to turn around and say, look, Rasmus hasn't had the best start. Look at Luke Ayling. He's come back. He's had a 25-minute cameo. But I think it's really dangerous to mix up that back line as well. Like he always go on about on the channel about synergy, cohesion, partnerships. But it's vital in football, KG, isn't it? And if you're mixing that up continuously, because we know something's going to happen, don't we, KG? We know maybe Luke Ayling's going to be broken at some point this season. And I'm not saying Rasmus isn't, by the way. But, when you look at Rasmus's injury record, it's pretty decent. Liam Cooper, if he comes back in, there's going to be an injury there, isn't there, at some point? So you're chopping and changing a lot, and you don't really want to be doing that to your defence.
Yeah, and I mean, listen, and in regards to Ayling as well, I mean, probably one of the best things he did for us was get sent off, because then he wasn't playing in our last couple of games at the end of the season. That was probably one of the best things he did. But for going forward, in terms of Ayling, if this keeps him hungry, if this keeps him saying, listen, Rasmus isn't doing well, I should be coming back in, and then he takes his chance and makes it better, it's only good for Leeds United. It's only good for us as fans that we've got two players that are really battling it out here. And just for Rasmus as well, I think if you take him out with his confidence, probably the way it is, I still don't believe that he had a knock in that week. I just don't believe it.
You stuck with that,
but that's just me. That's just me.
I agree, because then he's fitting
stuck with that. You have stuck with that, to be fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do agree with that, but he isn't in the team indefinitely, though. He has got to book his ideas up for me.
Yeah.
I would give him another 3, 4, 5 games, and if we're still having the same conversation, then Ayling's and the people supporting Ayling have every right to be knocking on Jesse Marsch's door, because yes, he didn't have the best of times last year, but there were some. I mean, I think back to coming out of Molineux, the Wolves game. He gives us going forward what I've not seen any other right back do for a long time. But them moments were few and far between last year. There weren't enough of them. There were more defensive errors than there were attacking good moments. So I would like to see Kristensen get over the halfway line at some point this season, though. That's what I will say. He just doesn't look like he wants to go into the other half of the pitch. But yeah, I'd stick with him. Definitely would stick with him for now.
And that's the weird thing, no, Brownie, because he's an attacking fullback. Everything about Rasmus is attacking, which is why it's so weird to see him not go past halfway line and just clean up those bozo mistakes he keeps making. I know it's been a while now, but just simple defensive things, just clean it up and keep it simple. And hopefully his confidence just has been growing from the international break.
And it's got to be that. It's got to be that, because I watched a little bit of the Denmark game the other night, just only a brief spell, but I don't know. There's something a little bit different about him. Playing for Denmark. I don't know what it is, but he does look a little bit more confident. And it's just, listen, it's a visual thing. I don't profess to watch Denmark all the time, but I watch a little bit of the game. And I don't know, maybe getting forward a little bit more. Maybe it's the fact that with this lead setup, gents, I don't know if you agree, but he is the width. You know, when he's defending, there's no real help for him on either side because obviously we defend narrowly, we defend compactly. So I don't know if that's it. I don't know if he's a little bit terrified of making a mistake because then it's going to be, you know, in the Premier League, obviously the best league in the world, it's going to be amplified a mistake. They're probably going to score from it, likelihood, or curate a very, very good chance. And it does seem at the minute that he is a little bit tentative and a little bit worried about going forward. But you can't, at some point, the shackles have got to be released because we're going to really continue to struggle if he isn't providing the width.
It could be tactical. He could be told to be sat there. We don't know. But because, like you say, kind of the way we play, our 1v1s are isolated a lot because of how we shift to one side of the pitch. And that one ball over, I don't know, but you're right. We do lose a lot going forward from him not getting over the halfway line.
Is it the fact? Do you think it's the fact as well with Denmark? He's with better players.
Yeah, very well could be that as well.
1414 York says Ayling first 6 months in the Premiership. I've not heard it being called the Premiership. Wow. The good old days in the Premiership were outstanding. Then he's gone downhill. I couldn't disagree with that. I think it was Ayling. Listen, we've all got a lot of like love for Ayling, haven't we? But I think you've got to take those glasses off at some point. He wasn't good. He's not been good for large parts of the Premier League season. So yeah, we need an upgrade. And hopefully Kristensen is gonna be that.
Hopefully with Kristensen he gets better because I've still got faith in him. Just want to make it clear, I've got full faith in him that he'll get better.
I think we all have, mate.
Yeah, let's just hope he isn't like David Healy and just great internationally and not so good at club level. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but Healy was something.
Hat-tricks against Spain.
Healy was literally Cristiano Ronaldo on international duty, wasn't he? I've got a Northern Irish mate who still, he says they all absolutely adore David Healy. Yeah. Like he's a hero over there. So yeah, what a player for them. Okay. Now, obviously we've done Rasmus Kristensen to death, really. The other side, which I'm arguably more worried about, a huge game for Leeds United, a huge game for Aston Villa as well. Let's not take that away. I've seen a few Villa fans in the chat. It's a big game for them as well. Huge game for Steven Gerrard. I don't know how many games he's won away from home. He might not have won a game away from home yet. Why have I said that? Sorry. Sorry in advance. But yeah, on the other side, obviously, Cage has mentioned Junior Firpo coming in.
You're right, Connor. Just before you jump into that, Villa have played 3 away games and lost all 3. So brilliant.
I'm a little bit more tentative about throwing him in. I'm a little bit. I mean, tactically, mate. I mean, we saw in the Blackpool game, which is the only thing we've had of him so far. Where he was caught out a couple of times by Josh Bowler defensively, but he did get forward. He provided an assist. I believe he got a goal as well. Nice headed finish. That's the only thing we can see him on really when it comes to this season and this season's new players and all this sort of stuff. The only thing we can evaluate him on, but I keep getting shudders of last season and the Villa game in particular. He was horrific, and I'm just getting a little bit worried about if Villa play very expansively, if they play very, very wide, which Gerrard has done in pre-season against us, against Jesse Marsh, and in that 3-0 win, he makes the pitch as wide as possible against Leeds. I do think that's a tactical adaptation. Are you not a little bit nervy about Junior Firpo, Brownie, coming straight back in for that game, starting?
Obviously, I have my concerns, but like KG says, he's got to play at some point. I mean, he's had a long spell out of the team now. He's had a break. The break could have been a blessing in disguise for a few players. I'm sure we'll touch on Bamford at the top end of the pitch. We signed him to be our main left back. If he still's going with Struijk, who isn't a left back, and he's visibly not a left back, when we're struggling in the centre half position, I'm not sure when Firpo comes back in, if I'm honest. If he still doesn't come back in when he's fit, then what is the point of Junior Firpo?
I think Strout's. I don't think he's been exceptional there, but I think he's been okay.
Yeah, he's been.
I really do.
My
He's
question,
been brilliant defensively. Yeah.
My question to you is: he's been okay there, but would you not rather him at centre half?
Yeah, 100%. But then what do you do? Because like KG's just mentioned there, you've got problems with Strout going forward. Let's be honest. You've got problems with him going forward. He's not mobile enough. He's not got that effectiveness in the final third to be able to deliver a ball. So in that respect, you almost have to put Firpo in. I think he's better than Strout going forward. But what would you rather have? Would you rather have a more defensively astute left back or someone who's better going forward? You know, that's the question, isn't it? I don't know. It's a difficult one. It is a difficult one. Jody said Strout's got nothing going forward. Michael says
I thought that was for Brownie. I was wondering why everyone paused there. I was waiting for Brownie to answer.
It was in the ether, mate. Did you want to answer it? Yeah.
Well, listen. What I'll say on Strout, because he has been brilliant defensively, and going forward he's been okay. But you can always see that he's never going to whip it in first time. He's never going to dribble past somebody and get a cross in. You always see he has to come back inside to Harrison. Sometimes Harrison's looking for the overlapping guy. He's not there. So with Firpo, whatever you think about him defensively, he'll always get forward and he'll always put in a cross. I mean, he has a shot and we wish he wouldn't. But listen, he'll get forward at least and give us a threat down the left-hand side. And him and Harrison, they've been working together whenever he's fit. So they've obviously got some kind of understanding on that left-hand side. We're going to have deficiencies in various parts of the pitch. We just have to accept that. But at least let's get Firpo's strengths of going forward and giving us a chance of first-time balls in from that left-hand side. And as good as Pascal's been, let's get him into the centre-back so he can be even greater.
One thing,
Brownie, just to add to that as well, I think that, and my question, KG, to both of you was, what would you rather have in a left-back? And I am much more on the slant of this season going forward. I mean, I'd be a little bit more tentative about throwing him in for this one, but maybe further down the line, I don't know, with Firpo. But I think you raise a good point, and that's made me think a little bit. What would you rather have in this side? And I think the way Leeds are going to win football matches, it might sound ridiculous, but it's going to be very Bielsa-istic in terms of Leeds having to really outscore the opposition, because I think we're going to concede. So if you're going to get more out of the left back going forward than defensively, then you've got to take that chance, haven't you, I guess, with Junior Firpo. An interesting one would be Leo Yelder. He seems a little bit more mobile, but are Leeds really going to throw him into that? I don't think so.
On the flip side, the one thing I have liked, though, is, and I think we've been far better at defensive set pieces, with having Strike at left back, you then have two other centre back. We have more people in both boxes able to win headers.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It could be another reason why he's sticking with him out there at left back to allow to have two other centre halves. So when we are defending set pieces, we've got effectively three centre halves going to attack the ball. Because we have,
there's a few people as well. I've just got Benny here, and a lot. I think Israel said it a bit earlier. Oh, sorry, it's Byron Israel Smith who said, "I think you've been harsh on Firpo." Unfortunately, Byron and Benny, I've just not seen enough of him to be able to make a positive judgment on him. Every time I've seen Junior Firpo, which this is this revisionist thing, which happens when players are out for some reason. I know KG, you've alluded to it a couple of times with Liam Cooper, but I don't understand maybe what people have seen with Junior Firpo. Everyone was talking about him last season as if we needed a new left back. We needed two left backs, is what people were saying. Fair play. I understand what you mean. I know it's a new system, new season, better players around him, and that's where I'm hoping. That's where I'm hoping it works for him. But I just want to get in there that we can't let's not make mistakes here that Firpo has been good at all for Leeds, because we've got to stick to what we were saying previously. It's not been a good signing so far, so he really needs to prove his worth.
Definitely, and it could be another reason why it'd be a good game to throw him in, because Villa play with the diamond. They don't have out and out wingers that are going to get at him, whereas the next two, you look at Palace, they've got wingers coming out of their ears, and then you look at Arsenal, it'd be Saka on one side and Martinelli on the other. So do you throw him to a game where it could be an easier afternoon for him, or do you chuck him in a deep end against Palace and Arsenal? Because if not, then you're looking at touching November without him playing again. So It's really tricky.
And saying that as well, Brownie, though, Leon Bailey's been good for Villa so far.
Yeah, he has.
It's a good test for him to start with. It's a real good test for him to start with.
Are we betting on a yellow card?
Come on, man. What's this guy?
Oh dear me. Sky Bet will be getting lit up.
So who's your back four, Connor?
I've said it. I would I'd keep Pascal. I'd keep Pascal there, but I can understand what KG's saying. So I'm a bit conflicted in terms of us going forward. That is obviously where Leeds going to curate chances. The relationship between Struijk and Harrison, I don't think is great offensively. So I can understand that, and I'm very close. And I did think that, to be honest with you, but this game in particular, I just remember Villa against us in pre-season, and you spoke about the diamond. They were still making the pitch as wide as possible, and it was 1 versus 1. If you remember, Leif Davis played that game as well in pre-season. So I would stick with Struijk there. And for this game, I would bring Coops in to partner Cott and leave Rasmus at right back. That's what I'd do for this game.
Yeah, it's nice. We're in a position now where we can have options.
Yeah.
Whereas last year it was, right, who plays? And we had nobody. So it is nice that we can have this conversation and say, right, who would you play? Who would you play? Because the next
I've got a horrible feeling Cooper's going to get too tight to Watkins or Ings and get spun, and there's going to be a dragging down of one of them and a penalty.
Let's not beat around the bush. The centre halves is another question where who would you play there? Because, I mean, has anybody really grabbed that shirt and said, I'm not coming out?
No, I don't think so.
I mean, apart from, Brentford, it wasn't a good game for anybody in particular. But I think apart from the Brentford game, I think Robin Koch's been very good there, I was quite surprised that he didn't get called up for Germany in this international break. I was very surprised. But as you saw,
who was brought up in replacement of him?
I was going to get in. I was just going to go into that and transition just into our team as well. But they called up Bella Koch from Southampton.
Okay, right.
And this is where I'm looking forward to in terms of our team. I know you guys are discussing Cooper and Ayling, but I'm looking at some of our newer guys and thinking, I think they could make an impact. I see JB's is killing it. I see Perkins. And you think the thing for me with Perkins is he doesn't have to do all that running around stuff. I believe he could probably be the finisher in the team. Not saying week in, week out. I'm not saying he's probably ready for that. But I'd love to see him get an opportunity at some point just to see what he's got. Because for me, other youngsters are getting into other teams and are lighting it up and making an impression. I think we've probably got a few of these youngsters that could do that for us too.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, come on, Brownie.
No, I agree. I think the talent that's coming through, we are starting to see the fruits of investing in a bit of it now. It's
Perkins looks ruthless, doesn't he? Looks like a proper player.
The boy from Man City. There is, and like you say, the bench is now getting packed with young quality rather than just young lads to make the numbers. I know that sounds awful, but at times last year that's really what it was. It was numbers, just to fill a bench.
And you'd hope maybe with Jesse Marsh that, when he's looking over at the bench, he's got Adam Forshaw there. You may be thinking if he's got Darko JB on the bench, you're thinking, right, he's going to go with JB first. Or, when he's maybe at points even, and we've got to be honest, if the form is out of the window with Patrick Bamford, maybe he's just going to be looking and thinking, do you know what, actually, I'm going to go with Perkins and Gelhardt or Perkins.
I will say on Bamford, it seems a long time ago now, but the last game he came on in, I thought he was class. He held the ball. It was such a difference. He held the ball up. He was playing it out wide. It's a difficult thing to say.
Who did we play last? Please remind me.
We played Brentford, but I mean the home game, Everton. Okay. Did he come on? He came on. He came on with about 15, 20 minutes left. He actually came on for Gelhardt. Gelhardt came on in the game and then went back off later on for Bamford. And I just thought Bamford. It was the Bamford that we saw in that first Premier League season. He was pinning people. He was holding the ball up. He was passing it out wide. And I really do hope that that's the Bamford that we see this season. And it's Gilbert said, where do you think the future lies with Joffrey? I think he needs a partner. I think up front, him and Bamford would work very, very well. I think that I think if we're playing 4-2-3-1, I think he's struggling. I think he's struggling in that position by himself, to be honest. I don't know, KG, I don't know what your thoughts are on that, mate.
I've said it all along that Gelhardt is a good forward player, but he needs a partner. And you saw, I can't remember the game it was now. It's been so long, but he was playing by himself and it wasn't going very well. Then he brought Bamford on, I think, and they were working well. But then he took Gelhardt off maybe 5 minutes later. Maybe I've got that all mixed up, but they were only together for a little bit. And you could see that he was much more comfortable with a striker. And it's interesting now because for me, Gelhardt is somebody you can play behind the striker. So Gelhardt and Bamford, cool. Or it could be Perkins up front. But Nianto as well, he reminds me more of a Gelhardt where he could be more of a forward than an out-and-out striker. Whereas Perkins probably reminds me more of a Bamford, but just a bit more mobile and as your main striker. So we do have a few options there. And I don't know if you guys saw Sinisterra during this break. Man, he's just coming on leaps and bounds. I'm loving Cine. We've got some real good options out there for me, and that's why it's so important we give them a chance to shine.
I couldn't agree more with Sinisterra. I mean, he scored a couple again in the early hours of the morning. Scored in the game before. I'm sure we'll touch on him, but just on that, the Italian kid, he's starting for Italy.
Yeah.
At 18, yeah, Gelhardt's not even getting in the England under 19s, under 20. Like, where do we feel that is the one above the other? Like, we don't want to block Gelhardt's pathway, but if he's starting for Italy, like, he's surely got to be involved. Like, we hear this talk about he's not ready and he's in the under 23s. But I can't see how if he's starting for Italy.
I think Jesse will clarify that on Friday. I'm sure someone will ask him about that, and he'll probably take that one back. In regards to international, it's a bit tricky because international doesn't really tell you where everyone is because you've currently got for England players playing that don't even play for their clubs. So sometimes it's tricky to get a gauge on that. But you're right. He's literally a full-fledged international for Italy, the current European champions. And we're wondering if he's going to start for Leeds United in the Prem. It is kind of mad how we're talking about this guy.
It's crazy, isn't it? But again, it's another young kid that we've got that looks really exciting.
Yeah. I guess that's where is Jesse Marsh. This is going to be a task for him. In it, when you've got Perkins who's knocking on the door, evidently. I mean, he scored 2 last night or 1 or 2 last night. Again, he scored I think every single game since he's come to.
I think he got 5 in 3, Connor. I think it's 5 in 3.
He scored a hat trick, didn't he? In 33 minutes. So he'll be knocking on the door. Let's not forget as well. West Ham offered him a new contract. Spurs offered him a deal as well, and apparently Man United was sniffing round. So this kid is of top caliber. So yeah, I mean he's got What I'm trying to say there, lads, is he's got to manage this well, Jesse Marsh, because he's got a few moving parts now, hasn't he? A few players in there. We mentioned Darko JB as well earlier on, who looks phenomenal. Absolutely love his sort of his ball carrying ability. Something that we just don't have in this side, I don't think. So yeah, it's going to be interesting how he mixes that with the old pros. Your Dallases, your Forshaws, your Luke Aylings, your Coopers. It's going to be interesting, the pecking order. For me,
am I right in thinking that there's only Dallas injured now, unless Bamford tripped over his TV?
Bamford tomorrow. We'll get there tomorrow. He'll be out for another 10 weeks.
But other than that, like he could tonight, he could trip in his kitchen or something. But other than that, is it just Dallas that is injured?
I don't think it is. There'll be something. There'll be something.
We'll find out Friday, Brownie, because literally that's been the problem as well. There's literally been nothing going on in these last few weeks. Literally zero has happened, so we don't know anything. So he could come out Friday and say we've got 4 injuries out of nowhere.
It's just so typical.
It wouldn't surprise me in the slightest. It really wouldn't.
I'd actually be more shocked if that wasn't the case. Oh God! Another one as well.
All I just want to say is that it's just exciting, just some of the talent that we've got coming through. Because I know if we was looking at these players in other teams, we'd be like, why couldn't we go and scout these youngsters? Why couldn't we get them? So it's just I'm just looking forward to the future of this team, man.
Yeah. Luke Fruin said Rodrigo's still injured, I think. Yeah, he may be another one. I think there's been a couple of murmurings. But to be honest, I mean, he's depth, but he doesn't get in. When everyone's fit for me, he doesn't get in.
You know what? It's crazy. I didn't even mention him. I completely forgot about him, man.
Yeah. I did too.
You're not putting Rodrigo.
No. If you've got a starting front four, and you've got Sinisterra, you've got Aronson, you've got Harrison, and then you've got Bamford up top. You don't get him for me. What would you start him over Bamford or Aronson?
I mean, I'm not arguing with your front four there. When you say your front four, it's hard to make a case, but I think he's arguably been our best forward so far this season. But when you say them four, it's and like KJ says, the depth it is looking better now. When everybody's fit, it looks good. Bloody hell, where'd you get?
Tom Gatlin just said, just to confirm, we have 0 chance of getting Gakpo next year. I think, Tom, they'll end up going in for him. I fully believe they'll put probably a cash offer in. There's been murmurings from Romano already saying that Leeds are going to go, but there's absolutely no chance.
5 million in a bag of Skittles will probably offer.
There's just no chance. So
PSV might go for it if we get the Champions League. You know what I mean?
This is what I mean. I don't get the logic though, because we're going to be going in for these players after a World Cup.
Oh my God, Champions League, God, and the PSV guys just like that. What?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's mental. Those are things you do on Football Manager.
Just put clauses in. You're like, it's never going to happen. It never does.
I think it's brilliant how they came out and said that they would put that in. They must have been laughing their heads off.
Yeah,
well, they said that the PSV guy, didn't he? He just said we didn't understand it. It's like, neither do we.
Going back to the Gakpo, we're going to be going in for him after a World Cup. His price is going to. And this is what I was meaning about Raphinha when we sold him for about £3.75. Mm-hmm. He's going to light up the World Cup for Brazil. He's going to be worth 100 million.
Yeah, he will. Yeah. No, there it is. There it is. Is it signed as well? Oh, it is. Look at that. Never sell that. Priceless.
Never.
Raphinha should have been priceless. We've had I don't want to say it, but we've been absolutely robbed.
Did you see his goal last night? It was the most Raphinha goal ever. You know, he just picks up the ball and he's angry and he just swats it. Like that's where him and Cini, I think, are very different. They're very different because Cini's almost. Because I'm not saying Rafa's not cultured, but he's almost more delicate in his football play.
That's the word, Connor. I was going to say cultured. Sinisterra is more of a cultured finisher.
Whereas Raphinha just seems like an assassin. He's just absolutely ruthless and such an explosive player.
Could you imagine them both in the same team?
No, I put a tweet out. But we could never. I don't think we could ever have that though, could we? Because we're always gonna. I mean, we'd never got Sinisterra if we'd have kept Rafa. That'd have never have happened, would it? So, imagine that. Imagine
it's
that.
It's a lovely thought, though.
Imagine that, and I know we'd have been horrendous at the back, but imagine that under Bielsa. If you've got on one side Sinisterra and the other side Rafa, that'd have been so entertaining. I mean, we'd have probably every game would have been 5-4, but there you go. But yeah, I mean, we've touched on Sinisterra a little bit. Now, looking at Villa, lads, I mean, I put it in the title of the video of the stream. Are we? I mean, I think you've both pretty much answered it, but I just want to get a bit of clarification. Everyone in the comment section as well, please let me know your thoughts. Let us know your thoughts. Would you take a point from this one, or do you think, KG, it's 3 points minimum?
For me, you got to take it into consideration. After the 3 previous games, for me, it's a win needed against a team that's going to be pretty much where we're going to be this season if they carry on the way they are. So for me, 3 points at home, I think we can do this.
Yeah, I echo that. I'm going to Elland Road on Sunday and I fully expect 3 points. I really do. I mean, it can't be any worse than last time we played Villa at Elland Road. Let's be honest.
Oh, man. I did a watch along for that one.
That was a tough watch. I thought it could have gone after that.
I told you not to, and you did.
Yeah, I mean, we've got what? 9 games, you said? 9 games before the World Cup. I think one of them is a League Cup game, so 8 league games. What's that? 8 times 3, 24 points available.
Quick maths.
Got to be looking at. Would you be happy with 12 before now and Christmas?
I don't know.
I'd probably want a bit more than that, you know.
12 would put us on 20 points, halfway there.
Oh God, I can't do that again.
Well,
Yeah, let's not.
I think
Villa,
please. Villa at home. I think our home form's been good, and I think Villa's away form's been horrific. So we all know what's going to happen.
Yeah, and just as well in terms of hoping for wins, you've got to target these kind of games to get you 3 points, because then otherwise, when are you going to target 3 points? So yeah, for me, Villa at home, 3 points, man.
Well, because then, yeah, exactly. Like then you look at it, and we're talking about the fixtures. You've obviously got Villa at home. So let's say, we don't get 3 points there. We got a Palace, which I think maybe even the optimists think that it's going to be a point would be unbelievable. I think at Palace, I think it'd be a great result down there. We might get a win, but I think a point would be a really good result. And then you got Arsenal, which is, we just never beat Arsenal. Arsenal's going to be so tough. And then you're looking at that, and I believe, correct me in the chat, or you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but then you've got a whole host of pressure on that Leicester game away from home. That is a massive game if we aren't picking 3 points up against Villa, I think. And that's me just predicting the future, which I normally do wrong anyway. But I think it's huge, this game. It feels huge.
It really does, especially like KG says, off the back of the last 3 results. If we'd have picked a win up in one of the last 3 games and we're sat on 11 points, then there's not as much pressure attached to it. But you're right, the run of fixtures: Villa, Palace, Arsenal, Leicester, Fulham, Liverpool, Bournemouth, and then Tottenham. So there's no easy games, is there? There's no easy games. But home games, I go into every home game wanting a win, unless we play Wednesday.
Yeah. Hey Arnold said, I don't get this reach the level of Raphinha stuff. Sinisterra is already there and will be far better than Raphinha. Many of Raf's goals were scored from pens. Mate, come on. The guy kept us up. It was Raphinha versus every other side last season. I think Sinisterra's got, I don't know about you guys, but for me, Sinisterra's got a long way to go. Yeah. Raphinha's just...
and listen, it could. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Brown.
No, go on. No, go crack on. I was just going to say, I think
it's one of those things. And shout out to Hey Arnold, great cartoon. But it could be one of those things where Sinisterra does get more goals than Raphinha this season. That's not implausible, but it's about overall impact and influence that he had on the game. And I do believe Sinisterra will be our X factor in that way as well. But yeah, listen, Raphinha did a lot for this team. And I think it's just being forgotten. I think a lot of people gave up on Raphinha once they knew he was trying to get to Barca, and then all of a sudden, he was, down in tools and everything. But now he was superb for us overall.
KG, imagine if you had a striker and not Dan James up front.
Exactly. There's so many factors.
Imagine not being overlapped by Jamie Shackleton for 3 months.
Amongst others, yeah. Unbelievable. I thought, Rafa had to deal with so much last season. I thought he was just, what a player. I think he's world class. I think what a player.
I think he's right. I think Sinisterra he's on that upward climb, and it looks like he's going to be one hell of a player. And it has the Raphinha stepping stone feel to it, dare I say it. But for me, Raphinha, we've said it countless times on this show, he's up there with one of the best players I've seen at Ellen Road.
Yeah, and obviously people who disagree 100% will get you on. We've always said that. What a load of balls, say Rafa kept us up, very narrow-minded. Harrison scored as many in open. But yeah, Harrison was brilliant. Listen, Harrison was very good last season, but I think when it comes to Raphinha, it was more spread out. I think a lot.
He actually did, though. Factually,
he did.
I mean, Raphinha, he scored at Brentford, so without, he factually did get it up. So
yeah, he did.
So did Harrison. So in that game, so equally good players. But what I'd say back to White Peacock Andy is, if we didn't have Raphinha last year, would we have stayed up?
Absolutely.
If we didn't have Raphinha at all last year, would we have stayed up? And I'm not sure we would have done.
Yeah. I think as well, like a lot of Harrison's goals were clustered as well, whereas I think Raphinha's were a little bit more spread out. I think Harrison still last season had a lot of spells where it was 2 or 3 games where he'd get goals. Then there was a period last season. I think it was after the Burnley and West Ham game. It was something like that. I'll have to fact check myself here, but it was a huge span of games. It might have been 8 or 9 games where there was no contributions at all, whereas throughout the season, you were still getting Rafa contributing every other game, really. So I think that would be my rebuttal to that.
I love Harrison. I think
yeah.
he's a great player, and I
Yeah.
think his numbers have been brilliant. And I even tweeted when the England squad came out, I felt like he should have been in that. I really did. I think he's done really well, and I think he should have put. He must have been close to that England squad. He must have been.
Well, it's not on a meritocracy, is it? That thing. It's not on a meritocracy.
No.
If it was, then he'd have been in there. But
yeah.
And so would Madison, by the way.
Madison,
yeah. But out of the two of them, which was it the one that Barcelona wanted?
Yeah, and I mean, there's always those kind of things. That's what I always say with things like that. It comes down sometimes with those wide players more than goals because they're not expected to score. It's about everything else that they do. And listen, Raphinha's work rate as well going back. Listen, he could, if he really wanted to down tools and get a cheap move to Barca, he wouldn't have tried so hard against Brentford, but he did it for us, man. So gotta respect, man. Respect. Yeah.
A lot of people forget that as well. A lot of people forget that him going into the crowd afterwards, and he wanted that. You know, how many world class players would be doing that? You just wouldn't see it. It's very rare what we had with Raphinha, and that's why I'm not like I do. KG, do you watch out for Raphinha? I know you mentioned that you don't watch out for the players that have gone and stuff, but for Raphinha, I mean, I don't know with Rafa, I do. I have to say, I'll be honest, I do.
Yeah, I'll always catch it because I follow him on all the socials and everything else like that. So then I'll link back to the highlights and see what he's up to. But yeah, other ones I'm not really bothered about. Like I say, he's been the first player since a certain player that's left where I was bothered that he left. So I won't say it on here because I know people get a little upset. But yeah, he's the first one where I haven't just gone, he's gone, off we go. But the other one, say, in the other one of the deal, Calvin Phillips, I haven't even given him a second thought. I don't even follow him anymore because there's no point following his PR team's tweets and IG posts.
To be fair, though, there's no games to have watched him in.
None. Yeah,
but that's
remember was never injury prone. Never forget that. Stephen Scourfield says, "Love to see McGinn getting kicked into row Z." Yeah, McGinn seems to love games against Leeds, doesn't he, KG? The Archie Gray tackle in pre-season, which I mean was horrendous. If we're being honest, I mean that was a career ender. Could have been a career ender. And he really seems to get up for this one. I think it's that rivalry, isn't it? He was part of the rivalry, obviously under Dean Smith when everything happened at Ellen Road, and he seems to have really driven that forward. And you know, whenever McGinn's having a bad spell, he always seems to come up trumps against Leeds United, and we've really got to be careful there because he's a decent player.
Yeah, and the thing is, they've got a few. Like I say, I'm not taking Villa lightly. They've got a few. I mean, Douglas Luiz, I thought he was going to be the odd guy out, and that's why I thought we could I was hoping Leeds would probably try and get him because I thought he's going to be the odd man out, and he's been playing better than ever. I know Villa aren't doing too well, but Luiz personally is doing really well. And then obviously they've got Jacob Ramsey, and they've just got a good mix there. And McGinn obviously is that engine of the team, and yes, he's always going to get up for it. He was involved in that whole debacle on the pitch and the Bamford sending off the click goal. So he's going to carry that forward, and we know football players do take that forward. But listen, we just got to concentrate on ourselves. We're not the same team now. We've got Rocker in there. We've got Adams in there. Adams again, by the way, who had a real good couple of games for America. They didn't do too well as a team, but he was solid himself. So we've got answers for McGinn ourselves now, whereas we probably didn't before.
We've got any answers? We've got any answers for Coutinho?
Yeah,
Tyler Adams.
Yeah.
I mean, I think touching on McGinn, I think he's one of them players where I think if he's in your team, you love him.
Yeah,
a bit like Alioski, a bit like Richarlison when he was at Everton.
Probably like Bamford. Everyone hates Bamford.
If he's in your team, you love him. Any other team just thinks he's an absolute so and so. I mean, he's just one of them players where your fans love him, and I can't. Yeah, Alioski. I bet everybody despised him.
Yeah,
but we seem to love the idiot.
Forgot about Archie Gray as well, didn't we? You know, that bench option. Forgot about him. But yeah. All right, lads. We've been going for an hour and 6. I think it's time for predictions. Brownie, go with you first, mate. Leeds Aston Villa, 4:00 Sunday, the 2nd of October, a day before my birthday, just so everyone knows. What are you going with, mate?
Nice little plug.
I'm turning. If everyone's asking, I'm turning 21. So,
well, I know for a fact that's not correct. So, I'm going to go with a Leeds win, 2-1. We won't keep a clean sheet.
Brownie, come on, man.
We never do, but I'm going 2-1. Do you think
That's
2-1 as
mine
well?
too.
Yeah,
That's mine
that
too.
means
Yeah,
we've got
yeah.
absolutely no chance of it being 2-1. But the thing is, if Connor predicts 2-1, then we panic. Then we worry.
Then we're in the toilet. So
yeah,
yeah.
I'll be honest. This is going to be a debrief special. I'm going to go with 2-1 as well. So it's three. It's 3-2. Yeah, I was going to say 2-1. So 3-2-1s. Everybody's saying don't predict a win, Connor. I've done it again. I've cursed it.
Well,
so,
listen, I would just like to apologise to all the Leeds United fans now. So we just get that out of the way and sorry.
All the Villa fans, this is why you've won. So congratulations.
Connor's going to be 21, so we're all going 2-1. That's the real reason.
2-1, 4-1. Wow, says Benjio 1983. Paul says, Connor, I called the hat trick Bam Bam. Remember? I don't, mate. No. What was that against Villa? Was it against? It must have been against Villa. I think it was the only hat trick he scored. Yeah. Tom Gatlin's. Oh, this would be nice. Oh, this would be really nice. I'd like to see Aronson get a little bit more joy in this game. I don't know about you fellas, but he's been, I wouldn't say man-marked, but teams really seem to have neutralised him in the last 3. It seems to have been a real lack of space. I mean, he's looked a little bit frustrated, I've thought. I don't know about your guys' thoughts on that. The first 3 was incredible. And I don't blame him. I think he's been brilliant for us so far. But I think teams seem to be targeting him a little bit. Because you stop Aronson, you stop Leeds a little bit, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's our engine, isn't he? He's like our engine, much like McGinn for Villa, but I think with a bit more quality on the ball, which is why he's been doubled up. And yeah, it's been disappointing for me to see him get subbed off quite early, along with Sinisterra. I hope that they're getting their fitness up now, where they can play much longer in the game, because we need those kind of players on the pitch, especially if we ever go goal behind for whatever reason. But yeah, Aronson for me has been super. Like, he's been really good. He's been really good, man.
The only little worry that I've got in the back of my mind is the fact that Sinisterra and Aronson are both, well, they're still, hopefully they're on a plane at the minute, but
that's true. That's true.
Side of the world.
I think Sinisterra is the big one, isn't it? Because I think he was playing in 3 a.m. our time, and he was playing on he's been playing the 27th or 28th. I'm trying to figure out the time zones. But
we woke up this morning to them playing in the middle of the night. So,
yeah. And I think they have to have a day's rest, don't they? I think that
they get a day off. Yeah. But that's a good thing as well, though, that we're playing our game on Sunday afternoon. I think that's a real good thing in that.
Yeah, I think Saturday. I don't think they'd have been back to playing it.
It's like that time at Southampton. Remember when we went down there and it was, oh my god! And you just see Rafa's just sat there on the bench
with Phillips. Remember with Phillips.
Yeah, with good Phillips, that. Yeah. 16.5-hour round trip, and I got them 2 sat in the stand. Brilliant.
Who started?
Tyler Roberts, mate. Tyler Roberts played. That's who started.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Oh god. Yeah. Levin Robertson. I don't even know. Christ. I mean, Roberts actually the season before scored down there, didn't he? That was his only Premier League goal.
Yeah, and he did best to miss that.
What a player. All right, well, guys, I think we've wrapped it up. 630 of you in the chat, so it looks like we're building back up to those usual numbers of you again. KG's channel is in the link in the description below. Brownie's Twitter shall be added because I've been a useless twonk again. Sorry, I will add Brownie's Twitter in there. Go follow it for Brownie. What's been on the Twitter this week? Anything?
There's been nothing to talk about.
No, nothing to talk about. Any controversial opinions about anything? Keep it clean.
Southgate, but I mean, if anybody's struggling for a ticket to Aston Villa game, I've heard there are links available, but we'll probably not get onto that subject.
But yeah, everyone, make sure you like and comment and subscribe the content. Head over to the Patreon if you want some bonus One Leeds content as well. We will be back with the debrief next week. We're probably going to do it on Monday if we all can. It'd been quite good as well because Leeds will have played obviously on the Sunday and we'll have instant reaction from the boys. KG, thanks for joining me.
Nice one.
Brownie,
good to see everyone back in the chat as well, by the way, because I haven't seen some of these names for a very, very long time. Because I haven't done one video since the game was cancelled. So shout out to everyone, man.
But it's been like, I think we've done like 2 debriefs now in like 6 weeks, 5-6 weeks. So it's been a bit, it's been sporadic.
It's a bit like the COVID times, hasn't it? It's been so stop start. What's happening when we play?
Yeah.
So disjointed. I mean, it can't be easy for Jesse Marsh and his staff. Like, they've prepared for the winter break, but what have they had to have a mini pre-season? What have they done for the last 2 weeks? So, like KG says, the press conference on Friday is going to be an interesting listen and see really what's been happening, because, like you say, content-wise, even in the media, it's been like a black hole. There's been nothing. So
yeah, it's been a tough time. Yeah. But yeah, thanks for joining, everyone, and we will catch you in a bit. Cheers.